All right. I think we're going to just go ahead and get started. Thank you to everyone for joining us. I'm seeing so many great comments, questions in the chat. Thank you so much. Please continue to throw all of your questions, your thoughts. We want to hear from you. Throw them in the chat, throw them in the Q&A. And thank you for joining us. We're so happy to have you. Good evening. My name is Ali Keenan, and I'm the Senior Manager of Programs at Pencils of Promise. I'm honored to welcome you all tonight to the second virtual event that we're fortunate enough to partner with the PAD Project on. For some background, Pencils of Promise is a global organization that aims to increase access to quality education to children around the world. The PAD Project is an NGO working to end period stigma and empower women worldwide. Our two organizations have partnered to ensure access to reusable period products to hundreds of students in rural Ghana and Guatemala. Together, we aim to break barriers to education, end period stigma, and self empower all people across the world. As we approach Earth Day, we want to celebrate and discuss the sustainable nature of menstrual hygiene management. You will hear about how sustainability with respect to culture, environment, and economics is weaved into both POP programs and the PAD Project's advocacy work. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Deepika, Franz, and Vivi, our panelists for tonight, and I'm going to let them take it on, and they're going to introduce themselves. So, Deepika, I'm going to throw it to you first.
Hi, Ali. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining in. I am Deepika, and I am working as Global Lead of Programs at the PAD Project, where my role is to oversee the implementation of all the programs from the inception to completion of the project. And I am super excited about the work the PAD Project is doing with our implementing partner in the field. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Ali.
Thank you, Deepika. Franz, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you, Ali. Hi, everyone. I am Franz Vargas, the Programs Manager for Central Promise Guatemala. I am in charge of overseeing the implementation of the WASH program, which one of the main focus it is to foster and to work with the menstrual hygiene management topic in the rural communities in which we have intervention. I am so excited to be here today because it is an opportunity for us to discuss what is actually going on and what is the impact that all of this menstrual hygiene management, menstruation, what's going on and what is the impact on the environment, in the economics, and also in the culture. I'm a firm believer that a girl's period should not steal her from the opportunity to go to school, receive quality education, and be a change agent for her community. So happy to be here.
Thank you, Franz. And last but certainly not least, my favorite, Vivi.
Thank you, Ali. Hi, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here with you all. My name is Vivi Perez. I'm the Learning and Evaluation Manager in Menstrual Promise, Guatemala. As a woman who grew up not openly talking about menstrual hygiene, neither at home nor at school, I am excited that Pencils of Promise will promote gender equality by collaborating with the communities and giving the opportunity to girls, boys, men, women to learn and talk about this topic. That's the very first step to start talking about this. And we're providing this space in the communities. I'm excited that we'll support girls not to feel ashamed of their menstruation process, and that we'll support these communities to see that this natural process cannot or should not limit the access to education for girls. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Vivi. Thank you so much, Deepika, Franz, and Vivi for joining me. Before we jump into our discussion, I'd like to introduce Margaret Debre, WASH Officer at POP Ghana, to share some words. Given the time difference, she's unable to join live, but she and the POP Ghana team have sent us a great video detailing the economical and the environmental sustainability of POP Ghana's menstrual hygiene program.
Hi all, I am Margaret Mary, the lead WASH coordinator, Pencil for Miss Ghana. With regards to our menstrual hygiene management program, As a team, we believe that sustainability is when adolescent girls in our WASH schools will always have access to the reusable pads, even if we don't provide them, because we take them through and train them on how to make these pads on their own, so that these pads will always be available for their use. If we want to talk about the environmental impact of these reusable pads, these pads are reusable, and then they are made out of cloth and not plastic. So even when they are disposed of, it will decay, unlike the disposable ones that are made out of plastic, and when they is being disposed of, it pollutes the environment. Also, this reusable pads will be used for longer duration, so it will not be disposed of more frequently, unlike them the disposable ones that are being disposed of often, because after every use it has to be disposed of. Also, if you want to talk about the economic sustainability, we are going to take adolescent boys and girls through making of this pads on their own, so they will generate income as well and have pads to use on their own. So whatever money is being generated from making this pads and selling them can be used to make more pads, because they'll have materials available. Though the first production we have to provide them with materials, but subsequent ones they'll generate income and then use it to buy materials to provide for themselves. Also, in future, as a team, we want to do more sensitization education on menstrual hygiene management among every individual in our communities that we work in. So we'll use Menstrual Hygiene Management Day to do this day sensitization and education, so that more men will be involved to break that chain and to change their perception of menstrual hygiene. Thank you.
It's been amazing to see the growth of menstrual hygiene management and the innovation for Pop Ghana programs. The team and the programs, they've really they've transitioned from helping students and teachers and parents build and create reusable pads, to now encouraging and empowering young girls to be entrepreneurs and teach others in their community how to make these pads. And so now we have a better idea of what sustainability looks like at Pop Ghana. So now let's move to Pop Guatemala. We're now going to open up the discussion to our panelists and dive a little deeper. If you have any questions, again, throw them in the chat or the Q&A. We'd love to hear from you. So as we're approaching Earth Day, we recognize Earth Day is an awareness day that's meant to focus our attention on preserving and protecting our environment globally and locally. Franz, can you tell us how Pop Guatemala's programming promotes environmental sustainability?
Sure. Thanks, Ali. I think that first, one of the main things on how we are promoting that environmental sustainability in our programming in Guatemala, it is by piloting the reusable pads. So we are giving not only students, but also mothers in the community an environmentally friendly alternative, so they can manage their period not only in schools, but also at home. You know, a fun fact that I think it's good to give is that on average, 11,000 disposable pads are used by a woman in a lifetime. So therefore, millions of those pads end up in the garbage or drainage every year. So that is why, by the fact of using the reusable pads in our programming, we are supporting the environment, and we are giving that alternative. And so it's not so different for our communities in terms of culture either, because they are already used to like using the disposable pads. Now, by giving them the reusable, we are contributing to that environmental sustainability. And everyone is excited by the using of this into our programming.
Thanks for sharing, Franz. I love that. I think really thinking about the environment is so important to the future generations. I'm really interested to hear from our audience how they incorporate environmental sustainability in their lives. I know for me, I've tried to reuse like the scraps from my kitchen, and I really try to move away from paper towels and things like that. So it's so important to really think about and prioritize the environment. So I love hearing that. Deepika, I'm interested, what about the PAD project? How is your organization promoting environmental sustainability?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Thank you, Ellie, and thank you, Franz, for sharing your experience. So I think I will start by sharing, how we start our projects at TPP. So we at TPP, and this is, very unique about the PAD project, that we at PAD project do not decide, what type of program we want to do in the community. So basically, it is our implementing partner who is, who is presence at the community decides whether they want to go ahead with a washable pad program, or whether they want to go ahead with a disposable pad program. Because I think the first and the foremost important part is, to tackle the need of the community. And in washable pad programs, we are having 8 programs, in Africa and Ghana, Uganda, and then we have disposable pad programs in India, Nepal, and we are going to start in Sri Lanka. When it comes to, the environment sustainability part, I think it is very important, whether you're doing the washable pad program or you're doing the disposable pad program, to educate the community, to educate, the right methods of disposable. And I think this is something we are ensuring whenever we start our new program with the implementing partner. We ensure that, it is just not about available the product. It is also important, to educate the community, whether it's about menstrual hygiene management, or whether it comes to the disposability of the product they are using. And I think this is the most important part we are trying, to do with our implementing partner. Yes. Thank you, Ellie.
Thank you, Deepika. Yeah, and I can definitely attest to that. I know working with the PAD project, we, you guys really listen to, what is our programming? How do we implement and what feels right? And, for us, we work in Ghana, Guatemala, and Laos, and our team in Guatemala, works so closely with the communities and have to make sure that all their needs are met in terms of the programming, and have to hear and listen to what it is that the community wants. So I think that really kind of takes us to our next topic around cultural sustainability. So I'm interested in hearing from you all, how is menstrual hygiene management programming adapting to prioritize cultural sustainability? How does the sustainability of the MHM program feed into POP's program model of building schools from the inside out? So Vivi,
Thank you, Ali, for your
you.
question. I will start. Yes. Well, I agree a lot with Deepika in that we have to hear the communities. We have to hear their opinions. We need to be open to those comments to make sure that they want us to collaborate with them. We have to keep not just our eyes open, but our ears as well, to see what things we can do and what things we cannot do in the communities, to adopt any idea that we're trying to bring to the communities. That's pretty important. In terms of customs and language, that's something that we try to be very respectful with, by I don't know, having someone who speaks that language, so we can share all our content with, especially with parents that are the ones that might not be able to speak Spanish, to keep the language simple, like with terms that they are used to as well. So we have to adapt our content to that as well. When we talk about sustainability as well, we have to be conscious that this is not just one person's job or just one group job. So it's not the job only of Pencils of Promise, or not only the teachers. Here we want to include a lot the community, parents, community leaders. Community leaders take big decisions for the whole community, so we have to partner a lot with them. To achieve this, we are going to implement some community trainings with parents and community leaders, while our WASH team is training teachers. So in this way, we pass on the learning and all the information that we want to everyone in the community. So in this way, when we leave, whenever POP leaves these communities, they're gonna bring this knowledge and keep passing it on to the next generations. we want to share them some practices that they can do at home, because it's not enough that we teach some practices at school, but what happens at home? We need like both scenarios to keep doing and learning the same. And when parents know better about these kind of topics, they become a support for teachers, because in some communities, parents do not allow teachers to speak about these taboo topics. So in this way, we don't have to be very conscious about the content and the language. So everyone not just understands, but just like reflect on the advantages of knowing this information, and especially how to help girls and boys regarding this topic. I know that Franz has other comments about this as well.
Yes, thank you, Vivi. And actually, I think that is a very nice way to put an outline our model, that it's building schools from the inside out, because that is what we believe. And our menstrual hygiene management program is not an exception. By building schools from the inside out, it's definitely, as Vivi was saying, not just involving the teachers and the students in the school, but also involving the parents. We are focusing on accessibility and behavior change and awareness. But that is not gonna happen if we don't make it a holistic approach. And that is why this this idea of pencils of promise of building schools from the inside out, we believe it is one of the most important and holistic approach that we can have in order like to make a program succeed. And we have proof of that by actually with Vivi, when we implement the programs, we see that whatever is being shared in the school with teachers and with the students, and it is also shared with the parents and community leaders, we see an impact a little bit faster. And because like whatever the kid is hearing in school, it's also hearing at home. So with this hygiene and with the menstrual hygiene management program, it is the same. It is a taboo, and we gotta know that that is part of the reality. So by also having honest conversations with the communities and with all of our audience, we are telling them that we are aware of their culture and that we respect them. And what we want is that they have knowledge and information that will contribute to it. We don't want to destroy the culture, the heritage, the identity, but we want to contribute with it to it, like by adding information so they can reflect on it and add it to their behavior change. So that's basically how we roll.
I love that. I love that. I think you can really understand what it means from building schools from the inside out. Like you're really going beyond the classroom, and you're incorporating the community, the parents. You're considering the identity, the culture, the language. All of those are so important to the sustainability and the future generation. So I think we can really understand what that means, the programmatic model. I love that. And I'm also really loving this chat. We're talking about a lot of the sustainable options we integrate into our lives. I've just learned about period pans. I love this. I'm going to Google this when we're done. So thank you to whoever said that. These are all really great. Please continue, throw any ideas out for me. I'm taking them all from here. So thank you. This question is now for all of our panelists. We're going to jump into the myths and the taboos. So as Vivi, as you said, talking about menstruation is a taboo in a lot of communities. And this is actually, Parker asked this question as well in the chat, is this a taboo topic in Guatemala? So maybe Vivi and Franz, you can kind of speak to that. And then also, Deepika, I'd love to hear from you also what myths that you've come across or you've experienced yourself associated with periods. So Vivi, can you talk first about that?
Sure, thank you, Ali. To answer that question, yes, it is a taboo topic in Guatemala, and not only in rural communities. I mean, I grew up in an urban community, and I wasn't able to talk about this really with my family or at school. So yeah, it is still a taboo topic. So I'm going to talk about some myths that I came across in a personal level. One is not to drink coffee. Another one that someone told me like, the other day is like, you shouldn't wear like white clothes because it can, can stain. I've heard some from some friends that and I think someone said that in the Q&A related with religion, and they can do like some activities related with their religion because it's not allowed. In general, I think that some people have this idea that menstruation makes you like impure or it's dirty in general, so we shouldn't talk about this because it's dirty or something like that. But I also want to talk about the community, some comments that we got from the communities we're going to be working here in Guatemala. We did some interviews to parents and teachers, and the main myth is that girls can go to school during their period. That's like the biggest one. And then they start giving their reasons why girls shouldn't go. They say, okay, if they go to school, they can run, they can't jump, they can't do any physical activity. So they better stay home and just take rest. They say that girls shouldn't spend time with boys during their period. So again, they prefer for girls not to go to school. No heavy lifting when you're in your period. Something interesting is that some people say that girls shouldn't take showers with cold water. And it's interesting because in the community, there's access only to cold water. So they probably want the water for those days. So here we start seeing like those ideas that for them it limits the girls from not to go to school. And I'm gonna pass it to Franz because we've been working in other regions as well, and there are other myths that we came across in Guatemala.
Yeah, I actually think that this is a very interesting topic to discuss because, like, everywhere you go, no matter if it's in the rural communities or in the city, you're gonna hear myths like from literally like everyone, and you will be amazed how many people believe actually in those myths. One that I've heard, which is like to me, I don't really understand why people say that women shouldn't eat avocado when they are in their period, or that's crazy. I couldn't live without avocado, or anyone. I don't know if anyone that enjoys avocado could. So yeah, and also like getting close to food, they are not supposed to be so close to food or touch food because they believe that this will spoil, and or any, as Vivi was saying, any sort of like cooking or something, as it was mentioned before, like coming to school or going to the market or getting too close to people or to men. Those are myths that actually what it's doing is kind of like restricting a woman from being part of society, and that is by saying like by this number of days during every month you cannot participate in society, you cannot do this. It's a whole lot of restrictions that to me it's crazy because there is not scientific like data that supports these ideas that are built in communities and everywhere really where we go. But I am so interested on this that I would like to hear from Deepika. Like, what is it? What have you heard like in the environment where you work, from your family, from you've been? Tell us about it.
Yeah, thank you, Franz. Thank you, Vivi. So I think I will start by sharing the most common myth I have heard while talking to girls, while talking to women, or whether it's a teacher or a health worker, that women, menstruating women and girls are not clean. And this is something very common I have heard everywhere. And the other common myth is, the girl or woman should not attend any religious function or should not go to any religious place while she is menstruating. The third most common myth I have heard, during my trainings and, during my interaction with the audience, that a woman and girl should not cook during menstruation because they are not clean, they are not pure. The other things, in India, because we have a lot of cultural difference and, and communities, some myths are applicable to one state and some were not applicable to other state. So some of the myths I heard, at some places a woman and girl should not take bath while she's menstruating because that will cause infection or infertility. To other places I have heard, that they should definitely be taking bath because that's how they can keep themselves clean. The other myths I have heard, at some places burning is like a taboo, but at other places burning is the method of disposable. Same goes to burying the disposable pads. At some places it's a method of disposable, and at some places it's like a taboo. You cannot bury your disposable pads. And in urban places, it is mostly they dispose of their sanitary napkin to a dustbin, which is regularly picked up by the health worker, sanitation workers. And these are some of the common myths I have heard. A lot of myths I have seen are attached to either the woman being or the girl being unclean or not pure, or being related to their infertility. And I think that is the really sad part. And because no one is actually aware, why things were happening in the past, why there were certain practices being followed by the women. I'm talking about a long time back, maybe 100 years, 15 years ago. But now, why do we really need to follow those practices? And I used to ask, the girl, when they say, my mom or my grandmother told me, I shouldn't be doing this. So I used to ask them, have you ever asked your mom or your grandmother why? The reason. So if you know the reason for anything, it is easy for you to follow those practices or those habits, or, whatever it is. And surprisingly, most of the part, no one is actually know the reason behind, why we should not do this and why we should be doing this. Yeah, and I hope, because we are having a lot of conversation around menstruation, and I hope it's a long way to go, but I hope we'll get there soon, where women and girls are actually aware about their bodies and why do we menstruate. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
And that's very interesting that what you're mentioning, Deepika, because like I feel like that's how myths have been like for having around for so long, because like it has been, they have been passed like from generation to generation, and mainly because most of these people are not asking why. They don't start by why, but why is it that I cannot do this? But what's the reason behind that? Because like it is amazing how this question, this why question, like when people are being asked why when they believe in a myth, that has been rooted already into their tradition, into their culture, I could say, they most likely won't have an answer, or a valid or a scientific answer that is supported by data. And that's how these myths have been preserved for so many generations. And if we do not start like talking about it and like giving this information and asking why, I feel like they will continue for so long.
Absolutely.
Yes, very true, Franz. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would agree. And I think you both made such an amazing point that, really digging for that truth and kind of, exposing like the why is so important. I just recently had a conversation with my mom, and she told me that, she was told as a young girl that she couldn't shower, she couldn't play sports. And, if she hadn't, questioned that, those myths about menstruation, then that's something she would have passed down to me. That's something I would have had to deal with as well. So we can really see the generational effect of not questioning and kind of, really uncovering the shame and the stigma that we really hold and that we don't need to hold. And I think, Pencils of Promise really does that through our training and our coaching and those deep conversations that we have one-on-one with parents, that we have with teachers, with students, with the community. So Vivi, I'd love to hear from you about the strategy we use in discussing menstrual hygiene programming with new schools and communities. How have community groups such as parents received the idea of menstrual hygiene education?
Sure, thank you, Ali. In Pencils of Promise in general, before we do any intervention with the communities, again, we hear the communities, we make sure that they actually want us to be there with them, supporting them. So we follow a process to select the schools we're going to be working on. So in this way, we make sure that they know what we're gonna do, and there are no surprises later on for any of us. So we have talks with the Ministry of Education to get their approval as well. We show them what we're gonna do, the content that we're bringing to the communities. We have meetings with teachers, with the community leaders, with the parents organization. Again, we share with them everything we want to do with the communities, with students, with parents, what materials we're going to provide. For this process, first we had a more general meeting just with school principals, with the top leaders of the community, to see in general the perspective of this topic with their community, and to have an idea of if we were going to be able to bring the program or not. In this process, we found a community that said, no, we don't feel comfortable talking about this topic. For now, we don't want to receive this program. So with that, we heard, and we kept the doors open with them for the future and future programs that we can implement there. But okay, we say this community, no, so we kept moving with other communities. And as part of our process, we ask them directly if they want to be part of our selection process, and we do a secret vote. So everyone feels comfortable to say yes or to say no. And with the schools we're gonna be working with, we got 100% of positive answers. So now we're sure that they are open to receive this topic and for us to implement our program. We also signed a commitment where we establish what is the commitment that Pencils of Promise is going to have with the community, and what is that commitment from teachers, from parents that we need during this process. How they have taken the topic. In general, they are open to it. They've had some kind of intervention before, so it's not really a very new topic, but we're providing them some more spaces to talk about this. I felt during the interviews, I felt that they do want to know about this topic. They do want to learn. They do want to see other options, and especially they do want to help girls to feel more comfortable with this process. But for me, it's more than that. They feel ashamed of acknowledging or accepting that this is an important topic, that they do want to talk about this. So they couldn't say openly, yes, I want to talk about this, but you can tell a little bit by the language that they show with us. So for me, they are eager to know. They just want someone to, give them this little push so they feel more comfortable to do it.
Thank you, Vivi. We just received a question that I think, Franz, it would be interesting, I think, if you responded to this. we were asked, since Pencil of Promise is focused on education, is there a specific curriculum of intervention in terms of menstrual education for communities and schools? So is there a specific curriculum of intervention for menstrual education?
I'm gonna jump right in, like on this question first, like if it meant like by the government, if there's some specific curriculum. No, there is no specific curriculum that dives into much in menstruation and menstrual hygiene management. From our side, as Census of Promise, we do have a curriculum that has been like crafted, like based not only like on data, but on interviews and getting the communities involved, or what is it that it's missing, like there, what kind of knowledge, what kind of information. And it goes like from not just jumping right into menstrual hygiene management, but giving like some more information regarding what are like those stages that a boy and a girl goes through, like in the puberty and adolescence, and also like how everything on the like covering a little bit more into in depth menstruation and what is how the cycles work and how our body works regarding like around menstruation, and then we fall into menstrual hygiene management just to make sure that we don't just go by the materials, but also like talking about the facilities, what is it needed, that for accessibility we need water, sanitation, and the proper facilities so they are able like to manage their hygiene practices accordingly in school and at home. So there is a curriculum that has been established from beginning to end on to where menstruation comes from and how we are supposed to be managing it in school and at home.
Thank you. And you're going to be, can you talk a little bit about if that will be, if the same curriculum, the same format will be used in the zone arena for the new pilot? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. And I usually get pretty excited about this, especially when right now that question of the curriculum has been asked, because like we have the curriculum, but that curriculum has to be implemented in always like to have an impact in these communities. And that is what we're gonna be doing. In fact, we're gonna be visiting the Zona Reina this upcoming week. For a whole week, we're gonna be like working with two communities that were selected, as Vivi was mentioning previously. But just before we jump on into that, I want to tell you that why also the Zona Reina, it's a very important region now on Earth Day, like around this topic of environment, because the Zona Reina is one of the most well-preserved regions that we have in Guatemala. Their inhabitants have been very good at conserving and protecting the environment and the flora and the fauna in that region. It is a region in which you go and you find like blue, emerald, and turquoise waters, like as you can see it in the rivers, and it is very green. And since it is very green, that is why we come with this idea that menstrual hygiene management has to go more around, not just into having behavior change, but also being aware that we want to keep protecting the culture and the environment, because those two things are very important for the Zona Reina. So this upcoming week, we're gonna be going, as I was mentioning, for a whole week with the team, and we're gonna be developing workshops with the teachers and also with the students, and having one-on-one coaching sessions in which we can work with the teachers and observe how they work the implementation of the curriculum with the students in a fun, dynamic way, in which they can do it like as dynamic as possible, taking into account that COVID is around. So we gotta like take that precautions, but still like making it as dynamic as possible. And so we can provide feedback to these teachers and like just learn together as POP team and them as teachers, and how we can continue promoting this topic with the students. But it's not only it, we're only gonna be like giving out materials. So in the materials, the main material that we're gonna be giving out, it is the reusable pad. In these workshops that we're gonna be doing, we are also gonna be teaching both the parents, the teachers, and the students, especially the older ones, in how to make their own reusable pad with materials that are accessible in the community and that they can actually afford. And as Vivi was mentioned, as we were mentioning before, our holistic approach also involves the parents and the community leaders. So we're gonna be also training them on how to complement all of the knowledge that's gonna be delivered, like in the school, how to complement this at home. And that is a little bit of an introduction of what we're gonna be doing. And definitely, like, big things are gonna be happening this upcoming week, and not just this week, but it continues through all this year on the follow-up of that pilot that we're gonna be doing in the Zona Rana. But it just starts next week, and we're gonna impact two communities. But we are sure that it's gonna have a ripple effect on not just those girls and boys, teachers and parents and community leaders that we will be impacting. Definitely will have a ripple effect in the region.
So it's such an exciting opportunity. I know we're all so excited. Deepika, this is truly like a partnership between the PAD project and Pencil of Promise. Is there anything particularly you're excited about with our expanding partnership, as well as the great work that you are all doing at the PAD project?
Yes, thank you, Ellie. I think the most exciting part about working together with Pencil of Promise is one that we are able to reach out to more women and girls, and the program is not just focusing the product, the availability of the product, but also the awareness, the education program. So I think this is very exciting, and that too, based on the need and the understanding of the community. So I think this is really exciting for me. The other thing I'm very excited about, getting our program started in countries like Sri Lanka, Nepal, Afghanistan. Although due to COVID, it's been a little challenging because we have not been able to ship our machines to the locations we want to start the programs. But I think we are able to see that we can very soon we can start our programs there, and we are very much looking forward to it. The most exciting news today I have is the book launch, the upcoming book, Period End of Sentence. It is basically to raise further awareness, on menstruation worldwide. And I think I will share the link to know more about the book at, our website. Yes, I think this is the most exciting for me, working with the PAD project and, working together with the Pencil of Promise. Thank you, Ellie.
Thank you, Deepika. I want to go to a question we received in the Q&A that I think is really such a great question. What has surprised you the most about your work with the MHM program? Vivi, do you want to take this question?
Sure. Thank you, Ali. I think one of the things is to see the openness, because we had at the beginning the idea that it was going to be more difficult to talk about this topic with the communities, to introduce this at the very beginning, and the response was different than what we expected, and they were just open for us to talk about this. They are eager to keep learning with us. So for me, that surprised me a lot. And again, to see that it's not that they don't want to, they just don't want to say that they want to learn about this. And the opportunity that we have to give them this safe space to talk about this. We know that they haven't had much chance to just talk normally about this. So I think there was a question on there as well, asking like how we're going to what we're going to do to help girls not to feel ashamed. And the first step is this, to normalize the topic with teachers, with students, with girls and boys, with their parents. So we feel more comfortable to talk with our moms. I agree that I didn't talk about this with my mom either, but when they also, they start a conversation, we feel more comfortable. So just providing this space to talk about it and to show them or start breaking this idea that girls can't go to school. It's not exactly that because of their period they can't go. It's more that we haven't found the best strategies to manage menstruation to give them these opportunities. So yeah, for me, this is one of the best things that I found, at least availability to hear about the topic.
Thank you, Vivi.
Ali, I actually want to like take that question too because I think it's very important. Like what has surprised me also a lot, it is that men are very interested in this topic as well, which is that's something very good for us in Guatemala. Why? Because like it has been thought that menstruation and menstrual hygiene management is a topic for women, but obviously we don't believe so. And to me, it has been amazing to see how a lot of like male teachers they are so interested on find ways on how they can support their students and answer questions and put themselves at a level that a student from elementary school can actually understand them. So to me, this has been amazing. It has surprised me a lot because I wasn't expecting so many men to be wanting like to be part of this and actually contribute to breaking this taboo and contributing to this topic.
Absolutely. And it truly, like, it takes all of us too. This is not just a woman's issue. And I think, you know, Vivi, you made such a great point though about like talking about it really helps to normalize it. And I think, you know, not all women have periods, and everyone has a different experience, and unless we talk about it, we feel alone. We don't feel like someone's going through the same experience, so we all have different identities and different experiences. Unless we talk about it, that one person who might not have their period or have their period when they are younger than their friends, like, they'll feel alone and kind of isolated. So it really helps, like you said, Vivi, to really normalize that we all have different experiences. There was another great question I'd love for us to answer. I'm going to open it up to you all. The question is, although many menstrual health initiatives and social impact campaigns continue to focus on absenteeism resulting from period poverty, there is little quantitative data to support these claims. In large part, the evidence is anecdotal and lacking in long-term data that shows a causal relationship between the two. Would the panelists please discuss the issue and how they are thinking about the causal relationship? So between absenteeism, being absent from school, and resulting from period poverty. Deepika, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I will.
Oh yes, Vivi, go ahead.
Sorry. This is a very great question. Thank you so much. I saw it at the beginning and my mind has been like running on how to provide an answer. I think it's definitely complicated to make that causal relation with these two things. First, we should set like the kind of evaluation and the way we're going to collect this data, if it's either qualitative or quantitative. But there are some difficulties here in the sense that even when people is open to talk about this, they still hide like some kind of information. First, if you don't have this openness from people to talk about the topic, you can make them a question and they're gonna avoid it. so your answer is going to be different than the reality itself. So that's one thing. It comes definitely a lot to the qualitative information, because basically from these experiences is that we have to gather the information and transform it to numbers and to make it a quantitative information. But for example, at schools, when a girl doesn't go to school, they are not clear and they don't say, I'm not going because of my period. They say, I'm going because my stomach hurts, because I just feel sick. So you cannot put this into the data specific for the absenteeism and the relation to period poverty that it's said there. So it's a little bit hard to collect this data again when people is not open and they are not clear enough with the answers. It can be misleading, but I would say that if we're focusing on poverty in economics, might not be like the main cause of absenteeism. Uh, it will be more the lack of knowledge of, again, what we were talking about, myths, why we're not doing this, why we're not allowing girls to go to school. It's more that lack of information that causes absenteeism, because they say, again, my girl can go to school because she won't be able to, she's not going to feel comfortable, she's not going to be able to walk, to run. And it's more for this that there's absenteeism more than the economics, at least in the region that we work in. Most of parents and teachers that we interview, they say that they do have access to pads. So it's more about the information. We got a story from a teacher that a mom came to her and told her, my daughter is not gonna come to school. She's not gonna come back at all because she started their period. And when the teacher explained the process and how it should be managed, then the mom said, okay, then she can keep coming to school. So I think it's more because of that lack of information that causes absenteeism, definitely more than the poverty or the economic side. But that's very interesting. I'm going to keep that. I will keep an eye on that in that relation and see how we can, gather a little bit more information that can make this relation better as well.
We have a follow-up question. What age is this happening in Guatemala?
Like at what age starts the menstruation period? I'm not sure if that's like the question, but it can go like from 9 years and above. We know that there have been some cases that it's been like earlier than the 9 years, but it's around that age that girls have start, and it can go to 11. It can happen to 12 years that they have their first menstruation period. Okay. Parker says, what age group is the program for? We're going to be working, the whole program is going to be working from pre-K to sixth grade. It goes, Franz, you know a little bit more about this. So I will let you answer.
Yeah, Vivi. And the age group for the program, it is like, as Vivi was saying, we implement the curriculum from KG to P6. However, from KG to the second grade, it is more explaining a more basic way, telling them like the difference that on like a kid and like a boy and a girl, and what are gonna be like some changes that they both will experiment in a few years and so on. And as for the older kids from third grade to sixth grade, it is where we go more into the curriculum that I was explaining previously, from going to puberty, like to menstrual hygiene management. And this is so it goes from, we can say, from 9 years old to 12 and 14 years old. And this is not only for girls, but also for boys. Like they all from primary 3 and on, they will get this curriculum in a more detailed way.
Thank you, Franz. We have one last question I think we can get to really quickly. Deepika, I'd love for you also to jump in. The question is, how are they helping girls to feel less ashamed about asking for help? Or encourage them to feel more comfortable with the topic of period. So how do we help girls feel less ashamed about asking for help, or encourage them to feel more comfortable with the topic of periods? Deepika, would you like to start?
Yes, thank you, Ellie. And I think it's a good question. So basically, I think for me, it is, first of all, it is very important to engage the girl in the conversation. And, the conversation has to be, positive. It's very important what kind of words we are using when we are talking about of periods. And I think, most of the times we wait for a girl or a woman to share their experiences and they really shy. I think we can start by sharing our experiences. I think we can start by sharing the stories we have heard from the field, maybe someone else's experiences. And I think that really helps them to open up. Also, what I personally feel, directly talking about menstrual hygiene management or menstruation is, is a bit challenging for them to open up. I think we can, first maybe build some rapport and, talk about having a general conversation, talking about their experiences, what they like, what they don't like, or maybe we can talk about some other issues. And gradually, when we feel, that, we are able to build that relationship, I think we can go towards talking about, what we really want to discuss. But I think it is very important for them to open up. So when I was, when I was working previously with some other organization in India, so we have developed curriculum that was not just talking about menstrual hygiene management. It was starting by building some rapport, and then we are going, talking about life skills. Then we are going towards gender, then sexual and reproductive health, and menstruation. And that really helps, because by the time we have reached, to the topic of sexual health and the menstrual health management, we were able to build a relationship with the group. And they were able to speak, they were sharing their experiences, they had a lot of questions to ask. I think that really helps, while we have such conversations. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Franz, do you have any thoughts to add to that?
Yes, definitely. That's actually a great question, and I want to tell you a little bit of our strategies on how we do it. And one thing that comes to my mind as Deepika was talking, it is like we also, as Pencils of Promise, we start the conversation. Like they need to start hearing about it. Since we started talking about this, and it's very interesting to see how we start a training session with students. And the first 10 minutes, it's awkward. It's an awkward moment that we all go through, and how do we move? How do we make this less formal? And that's when it becomes a conversation. And that is just the beginning. So we start the conversation on menstruation and menstrual hygiene management. And we don't ask questions that are too formal. We make it more informal, like for them, like to be part of the conversation. If they hear that we use their own kind of words, they're gonna feel like, okay, this is for me. I can jump in. I can ask a question, and we give ideas of questions that they can ask, and we partner with teachers. And so in a way that topic, it's not just a topic for training, but it's discussed in a regular basis in class. So in questions, like for example, times for questions around this. So that is basically how we make sure that by hearing us talk or speak about this, they're gonna feel more comfortable. And we have proof that that is like how it works with them, with our communities, but they need to hear more of us talking about it so they feel more comfortable contributing to the topic.
Absolutely. I know I wish, like, you know, younger Allie wishes that, you know, I knew of Pencils of Promise and the Pod Project, to just like hear like this is normal. This is part of life. We're going through it together. I think you all made such wonderful and such important um, points, and I hope we all can leave here and, you know, have a conversation with someone in your life about, you know, recently I talked with my mom about menstruation and my first period and why we don't talk about it and what she went through and what she heard. So I'm challenging you all to leave here and have those conversations, and let's normalize periods. So thank you all. This has been such an informative discussion, shedding light on the sustainability of this programming. Thank you so much to our panelists for providing this unique opportunity, an inside look into menstrual hygiene. To our audience, thank you for joining us tonight. There are wonderful questions. I love, I'm gonna check out those period pants, I promise you. We're so grateful for your support. To learn more about our work, you can visit pencilsofpromise.org and thepadproject.org. Pencils of Promise will send a follow-up email with more details, and we look forward to continuing this conversation. Thank you and have a great night. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Good
you, everyone.
day. Bye.